All right, so the public can attend the meeting in person, or the meeting is also streamed on the library's YouTube channel, and the recording is made available after the meeting at the city's website. Community members are invited to address the board at this time. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak? Okay. All right, so let's do a roll call. Dee?
Here.
Adam?
Here.
Nick is here. Steve?
Here.
Teresa?
Present.
Laurel?
Present.
Craig?
Here.
Okay. The order of the agenda, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Updates and reports. First is the Rochester Public Library Foundation report.
I feel like I prepared this document and I didn't send it to you, so I apologize. 'Tis the season for us to be really busy at the foundation. The auction grossed, the numbers look like they're between 14,500 and 15,000, so that is a record for us. Last year we grossed 11,000. The year before, a touch over 9,000. So we're moving in a good direction. Plans are getting furious for WIT. I think I've shared some of the details. We're going to have Chef Seth SR from Empire Events doing Italian food, and we have Teresa speaking, and Sean McAday speaking. We'll also have a VIP mixology session that will be in this room with Josh Krall's Bitter and Pour. And I will, the document that I did prepare that's sitting on my home computer, I will forward to staff, the library staff, to show you the numbers. It has some of the insights from the auction, basically experiences and gift cards. And dinners were really the big money bringer inner, if that's the right term. But Blue Duck offered a six-person dinner at their chef's counter, and that was brought in $835, and that was our top item. So we are really happy with results, and I know many of you in this room bid on the items, and we appreciate that. And even just looking at the items helps us, because we had, I think, 18,000 views. So every year that builds up the auction and allows us to bring more money into the library. So thank you very much. Let me know if anybody has questions, but I might not have the answers because I don't have my numbers in front of me. So sorry.
Any questions? All right, next report is from Friends.
So we had our Small Business Saturday right after Thanksgiving and in the bookstore, and they did a buy one get one free sale, as well as they had tables set up out in the lobby, and we did $1,400 on that day. And that is an average week's worth of sales in the store. So that turned out to be a really good sale. And then the following weekend, Friday and Saturday, we had the gift quality book and bake sale, and I know a lot of you, and I know you especially, baked for that, and Deanna wrapped for that, and we were appreciative of that. That sale, normally before COVID, that would bring in $3,000, $4,000 was a good sale. Last year we did $6,100 and set a record. This year we did $7,200 and set another record. So it's phenomenal.
Oh yes, and you were there wrapping too.
Oh, it was fun.
Yeah. Anyway, this was the first year that we separated out the baked goods income in the sales, so we could track how much that generates. And we had so many people bring in baked goods. Normally we wait to do a half price sale in the middle of the afternoon on the second day. We opened Saturday morning with a half-price sale because we just had so much good stuff. Almost $2,000 on just the baked goods. So out of that 7,200, almost 2,000 of that was just the baked goods, so. And then a couple other things is, we annually get $1,000 from the Rochester Commercial Banks Association, and we got that again this year. When they started that over 25 years ago, they had asked, we wanna support children's programming and, young adult programming, at the library. So, we acknowledge, that donation, and then brand new this year, Shorewood Senior Campus gave us $7,625. And what happens is, Shorewood is owned by the Weedham Foundation, and the Weedham Foundation allows Shorewood to pick a nonprofit that they would like to support. And this year, Shorewood picked the library, and they were trying to decide between the foundation and Friends. So the library was gonna get it regardless, but they liked that we had documented on our website that we have supported the homebound delivery programs, as well as Bookmobile. I know you guys also do Bookmobile, but then the Rochester Reading Champions and the Seed Library. So because of those programs, they picked Friends, and so the money's getting funneled through us. So we were very appreciative to those two local businesses for supporting Friends, so we can do even more for the library. So, any questions?
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Next report is Selco.
Yes, the only thing to report is that they have a position open right now, Director of Outreach and Education. The posting is through January 4th, and the starting salary is $64,000 or so. That's it.
All right, thank you. The next are the committee assignments, which, you know, actually, I don't have a, I think I remember.
You might want to copy it.
Oh, you got it.
You have enough?
I looked at it online.
Yeah, we can share.
All right, just basically, I did the best I could to assign, based on people's backgrounds, the responses that I got. And I tried to do it equitably. And I also assigned chairs with the idea that the chairs can communicate with the director in relationship to what can your particular committee do to help the library, and Karen can go into details about that. Some of these things, like I'm not sure the policy committee, if there's policies right now that need to be reviewed, but Karen can tell you that. The planning committee, as we all know, the space study was approved by the city council. The city council is paying for half of it, and we're paying for the other half. And we have our work cut out for us, I think. And I think Karen can go into more detail about how this is going to start and go down later in the meeting. And we only have one chance to get this right, so. And the finance committee, I would encourage you to talk to Karen. The finance committee may want to meet with the foundation in different ways, or have the foundation members come as part of the meeting. The other thing is that the meetings have to be, if you're going to have meetings, they have to be posted publicly, and Karen can handle that too. And later in the agenda, there's a section on the 2024 board calendar, which you'll go into more detail. Any questions?
Did you say that any meeting of a committee has to be posted publicly,
Yeah.
even if it doesn't establish a quorum of the board?
There is a commitment to transparency, so the guidance that we've had, unless they are ad hoc committees, standing committees, the guidance that we've been given from the city attorney is to make them public and available. There was a time when we weren't needing to be secret or anything, but they weren't being publicly noticed, but that has changed. There is definitely more of that commitment to transparency. So we publicly notice the standing committees, which are personnel, policy, planning, and finance.
In my experience, standing committee, actually any committee, is always posted. So,
And the number of times you wanna meet will depend on what needs to be done. So I don't know that we can actually commit the committee all the way through the year, because it may happen that they only need to meet half of that time.
Yeah.
If we do that, well, we'll get into that. Okay. Can you hand this down to, oops. Number 6, we can vote on these items as a block. 6A is minutes for the library board meetings of November 15th. 6B, accounts payable for December 14th, 2023. The 6C, November 2023 monthly reports, and the contract signed by the library director, and all of these are posted publicly. Can I have a motion to approve these 4 items as a block?
I would move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, there are no reports and recommendations. Number 8, informational items, library privacy committee.
Yes, so we have a great group of folks who are in our audience tonight who are going to go over the work that they have been doing, because privacy is essential to what we do in the library. So I will start with Perna.
Hello, everyone, board members. I'm Perna Gurung, and we are here as our privacy committee to give you an update on the work. Jeremiah, do you want to go to the next slide, please? So we are a cross-divisional team, including divisions from circulation, administration, technical services, city IT, as well as reference. I'm just going to introduce our members real quickly. We have Kate Putzavong, Steve Mosing, Deanna Hahn, Marilyn Ronning. We do have Elena Sessions, another member that's absent today. Our committee was formed in November of 2022 to conduct a comprehensive review of all of our divisions and functions within the library to ensure that all of our practices and procedures are in line with applicable privacy policy, privacy expectations, and privacy laws and statutes. We also work to identify and implement any process improvements, prepare and conduct any staff training, and also recommend updates to the privacy and confidentiality policy. So you'll note that that policy was last updated in 2015. As Nick mentioned, one of the things that will be coming to the library policy committee is an update to this particular policy. That update probably will be coming sometime in late 2024 after the committee has conducted its comprehensive and holistic review of all of the division and functions. So expect something to come forward to an update to come to the policy committee and then subsequently to the library board. Our committee works very closely with the city attorney's office in interpretation of privacy law and statutes, and also any kind of questions that come up during the review process. We were very fortunate to be assigned Assistant City Attorney Emily Adel this year, and she has been very grateful with we've been very grateful to get both her time and expertise this year. She is coming off, so we will be assigned someone else from that office. Up next is Kate, who will go over the audit process. Thank you.
All right, the audit process. So what we do is we pull together members of whatever division that we're working on, and we provide them with these core questions. These questions are from the American Library Association's Privacy Audit Guide. So we kind of use that as our guiding focus that helps facilitate discussion. The discussion that we have is critical because us as the committee, we're not the experts in the division, so it's really important for us to get the divisions together and talking about it. We can't really make recommendations without the input from the divisions. So the committee works to set up meetings and discuss data privacy as it relates to each division. And something that we found that really helps is that we try not to lead the meetings ourselves, is that we like the divisions to kind of lead themselves and have that, that dialogue. And through that dialogue, the divisions really help us identify where those gaps are and really also help find solutions that, work for the division, for the library as a whole, and then also that protect patron privacy. So this here is some of the questions that we ask, what kind of data do you collect? Why do you need to collect the data? Who has access to it? So all of these things that a lot of times people aren't even really thinking about. So we ask these, get the discussion going, and then go from there. Jeremiah, the next slide has additional core questions that we ask. So I won't read all of these off to you, but this is kind of our jumping off point with the divisions. Next slide.
So the library is made up of many different divisions and sometimes subdivisions. So this slide shows the progress to date as of just this month here. So you can see we've made our way through. We kind of started with some of the divisions that interact with the largest source of our data, I guess, which is coming from of private data, which is coming from the Symphony, the integrated library system software that everyone uses. Next slide. And so here's some of the processes that we've worked with those initial divisions to update. Deanna will get into detail on Bookmobile, but as Kate said, we kind of got in with each division, learned what their practices were, and made recommendations kind of collaboratively with them to accomplish more proper handling of private data.
I think one of the things, and I've got the next slide, couple slides, one of the things that we realized was each division, though we do the same thing, have different processes that need to be looked at. And so this shows kind of what we did with the Bookmobile. And I think about the Bookmobile and what they do, which is do their job on wheels in very short periods of time. And by the way, could you make sure you have protected the data, which is a huge challenge just to be on wheels and serving the public. They do an amazing job. And so that's a really good example. I think that's why we highlighted it, is asking people, how do you work? What needs do you have? If you are at a Bookmobile stop for 1 hour or half an hour or shorter, how can we help you work? And so they were amazing at really looking at what they do, how they do it. And this is a good example. So we have a homebound delivery service. And so they ordered sleeves right away for deposit collection special requests because the name of the person would often be on a book. Well, that's private data, so we need to put that in a pouch and make sure that that's protected. They did that right away. The next slide shows another good example on the Bookmobile. They like I say, they're amazing in what they do. Our public loves them, and one of the things they do a lot of are reserves, and so that has to be protected too. The title can't be showing smack dab on the same place as the title, so we're protecting that by switching how they put the Bookmobile reserves on. They just now put the title toward the back, you can't see it, and then the person's name can be on the front. So they've been great at really adapting, digging into their processes, what private data they have, how they have to do it. There's been memos of understanding now going on. I mean, it's just, they've been an amazing example of really looking at your processes and fixing those things that need to be fixed. And so that has been one of the best things, is talking to all these different divisions and helping us all work together toward being really mindful about what the information we take and how we protect it. Which kind of leads into Marilyn's part, which is kind of where we are going next, I think.
We're gonna move into security as it relates to data privacy. And we'll be looking at how the security cameras are used, and what information is on our incident reports and who sees those. And along with our chat messages and emails, what information is being included in those, and then the retention policies, how is that information being contained and then removed from our chats or emails or all that. And then we'll be moving on to other departments within the library, but also we'll be checking in with the departments that we've already made changes with.
I think the next slide, Jeremiah, is, questions, if any of the board members have any questions on anything that the committee has been working on, let us know.
So you'll have another update ready when?
Right now, we're working on security, and I think perhaps after security, it might be youth services, so we probably can have, I can see others out.
Move your eye this way.
So probably we can, I guess the board can anticipate a report mid-year, or, we're realizing that, we were initially thinking a division would take a month and a half, 2, but it's spiraling into a month and a half, 2, sometimes becomes 3 or 4, because one thing turns into 5 other things. So, it's becoming a process that it's more of a process that flows. So we're not constraining ourselves with saying this division is going to take a month and a half. We're basically saying we're gonna take this division and we will let it take as long as it needs to take, because we wanna make sure that we give each division and each function the time that it needs to ensure that it's done properly.
And it also allows the teams to be part of that change, because that can be really hard. It can sound like a really small, but it's really significant when you're trying to be the mobile on wheels and do all the things. And then also make sure that the right item is going to the right person without sharing that data with anyone else. So it really is, the amount of work that this team has done has been significant, and it has taken much longer than first anticipated, as good work does.
Yeah.
But the end product so far has been amazing and really appreciated. So 2024, maybe 2025 report.
So there's no particular deadline, goal, date?
Not right now.
Okay.
I think we'd rather take our time and do this right, yes.
Can I ask a
Yeah.
question? I think this is terrific. And simple things like reversing where you put the labels wouldn't have occurred to me, but what a great, simple solution. Do we have any concerns or indication that people are accessing data inappropriately? Bad actors or anybody? Is that something we've discovered?
We're really pretty certain. Our Symphony system is hosted by our vendor, who also hosts other libraries, including government libraries. So they're actually probably going through more than what we would require of the type of data that we have. So there's really not, they have a proper security reaction plan in place that's reviewed and available to customers too, in a limited details. So yeah, if anything, there's really not much concern as far as that data.
That's great, thank you.
That's why we have Steve on our team.
Yeah. It's kind of a follow-up to your question, Craig. I would guess that Orange Boy might be a contract that complicates it a little, but they probably also have security protocols in place that protect data.
Yeah, working together as a city IT entity.
Yeah.
Anything that touches private data, or actually anything that's gonna be on a city network or device, it does have to go through a security review. The city has he's a shared resource, but his job is to do security for the city. So all of those have been considered and reviewed. We have a survey that goes out to make sure that whoever we're communicating and exchanging data with is following the practices that we are expected to do. And so finally, that's funneled up through a recommendation to an IT steering committee. So there's kind of a final stamp of approval made up of city department heads, which Karen is a part of. So all that gets
Sure.
properly vetted out, which is the way it should be.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I also love the cross-functional team approach to kind of value engineering something, so thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much for your report. With the 2024 board calendar.
All right, so I know in the last couple of years, as we were coming out of pandemic and not necessarily knowing what our needs would be committee-wise, we really met far less than what we were meeting pre-pandemic. Like there were definitely this pandemic window where we did have less interaction with committees, and I will take full ownership of that in the last year and a half. And so what I'd like to do is really be much more intentional about having a schedule similar to what I observe at city council meetings, because there is an ongoing city council schedule and then also a study schedule that is shared monthly. So I would love to, I think there is value in me sharing this on a regular basis as we update and add meetings so that we can have them I guess just more viewable and more aware, so everyone on the board is aware when we're having a finance committee meeting or a planning committee meeting. So I'm bringing this as an informational item to show you, but also wanted to highlight that our regular meetings obviously take place on the third Wednesday of the month at 4:30, as they have. So that's our standing schedule for full board meetings. But on the 19th, it is Juneteenth, which is a holiday, and the library will be closed. So we do need to take board action on changing that date, which it would be nice to have updated for this ongoing board calendar that we share. So traditionally, we move it the week before or the week after. That seems to work best, to still keep it on a Wednesday night, so.
So Juneteenth is June 19th. The Wednesday before that is June 12th. And the Wednesday after Juneteenth Day is June 26th. Is there any particular preference? One way or the other, the next meeting is going to be farther away or closer.
The 26th works better for me.
Which one?
The 26th.
The 26th? Anybody
It's
have
sad that I
problems
don't
with the
have
26th?
that far ahead of time.
It's fine with me.
19th is my birthday, so I'm glad I won't
I'm retired, so I have no idea what I'm going to do. All right, can I have a motion?
Wait,
I'm sorry.
I know for a fact that I will not be available at all in March, and I'm on the policy committee. There's only 3 members,
Okay.
so we'll need to move that to.
Well, I
And
think-
that was a spitball, throw it on there, and
Yep.
can be moved.
Yeah, I think this will get filled out more realistically after the chairs have talked with Karen
Okay.
to see what needs to be done or could be done. You know, use your imagination. How can you help the library? All right, can I have a motion to move the board meeting from June 19th, 2024 to Wednesday, June 26th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Perfect. And a little update about the committees as well. We will obviously be meeting a lot with the planning committee. That's the one that will be the busiest this year. We have already started meeting internally with library staff on kind of planning out that process a little bit. But obviously we'd like to get started as soon as we can. So I expect us to hopefully be able to meet 1 or 2 times in January, and ideally we'd love to. Our first task is creating an RFP so that we can put that out to get a consultant hired to do our long-range comprehensive building/services study. So expect a lot of activity in the early part of the year, especially for planning committee. The other committees, we do have policies that they had really been, a lot of work had been done by our welcoming committee, and Heather Acero was in the room, and members of the policy committee at the time had gone through a lot of them. The last one to be updated is this privacy policy, and then there are some board guiding documents that need to be reviewed, and those I think we can have the policy committee working on at some time this year, not in March. And then finance committee will be light. We are in the 2nd year of a 2-year budget cycle, so there will be very little recommendation or changes that we can propose. And then personnel committee is already working, and that work really is now into the early part of the year. So those are the committee updates, and I will be reaching out to all of you chairs this week. So.
And once, just a question, once we commit time for different committees on that calendar, if it turns out that the committee does not need to meet at a particular time later in the year, it can be easily canceled.
Then we would cancel, yeah, then we would need to cancel. And if we've gotten out far enough and close enough to the meeting that it's been publicly posted, then we have to publicly post the cancellation.
Right.
So our perfect window will be close enough that it hasn't been posted, so that we don't have to do that, but even if we had to do that, that's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay, number 9, questions and answers. Karen, did you have anything in particular you wanted to? One was the question of how items get added to the board of agenda, and what are the rules for doing that?
Yes, so for adding items to the agenda, which I am super grateful for Perna, who knows all board things, that I wasn't aware of. That there is the agenda policy specifically says 10 days, that items shouldn't be added, they need to be submitted 10 days prior to the actual board meeting. We can add something the day of a meeting. It does take a majority vote to do that, but the preference is to have those items obviously available so that we can have them in the board packet. So the 10 days notice is how that happens. Things get added through committee meetings or through obviously our board discussions when there's a directive that's given to me. So we do start at the executive committee. For those that aren't aware, that's where a lot of the conversations happen as far as building out our agendas. So when we meet every other month, we're planning out for the next 2 months, and that's how we build those agendas initially. So.
All right, and there was, Karen and I talked about how does one get questions answered that one has on things such as the consent agenda. Last meeting, I had a question and we had to pull it and put it with number 7, and Nick's just slowing everything down. But, you know, actually the best thing is to ask a staff member, maybe approach Karen first.
Yeah, if you have questions about anything on the consent agenda, we absolutely want to be able to answer questions ahead of time, and if there's additional information needed, then please feel free to always reach out. We obviously rely on everybody to be looking through the packet, looking through, you know, expenditures, looking through our monthly reports, and if you have questions, then we are more than happy
And
to.
I had a few questions I asked Karen, and now I know.
There we go.
Oh, and I wanted to thank you for the bios that you sent. I hope it was informative to all of you. We know each other a little bit better.
I have a question
yeah.
for Karen, regarding the app and what the situation is with the app. That's
Oh, yeah.
resolved.
Thank you for that question. Yes, so as you are probably read in the board memo or were aware of or received communications as a library customer, the app, through no fault of us and our team, is not functional, and there is an additional backstory of our ILS provider and the company that they were working with for the app. Who knows what happened with their relationship, but the ILS company, Cersei Dynex, is working to launch a Blue Cloud 2.0, and the tentative date that we're hearing is March. And Steve, do you have anything that you want to chime in? I know Steve has been attending the meetings for library folks who are interested in providing some feedback in that app development.
Yeah, we're participating in the Cersei's strategic partner program. So where they're at in the development of the new app, we're able to provide some feedback along with other libraries participating in what functions or really how functionality will work. And like Karen said, they're targeting a release of March of next year. And right now, they're going through a process of prioritizing what library customers want in that initial release. And so I'm using feedback from my library colleagues in what we would expect to see in that March release time frame.
So I have another question. So with regard to how that is paid for, so now we have no app, are we paying for something that we're not receiving?
Thank you for that question. And we are really fortunate that we receive Selco funds. This is why you know a little bit more. Selco funding does support through LSTA funding that gets distributed to us. It is LSTA. RLTA. RLTA funding that gets distributed. That does cover our app. That's how we were able to provide it, and they've been doing that for us every year. While we do not have an app, we will receive, they first said that we would receive a credit, which we have asked for a paper check so that we can use that credit and apply it to something meaningful, because a credit of more of what we aren't getting doesn't really work. So our plan, and Selco is aware of this, is to use that money on digital items, because we have an ongoing, never-ending need for more digital items. So that's what we'll be doing with that. They base it off of what we paid, and then they divide it by the number of days in the year, and then we get credit for each day that we don't have an app. So we do receive some funding. I know Selco has made the decision to explore getting a different type of app, because they are also exploring a different ILS. They are looking at open source ILS, so moving away from, they were already using a different Cersei product, and an older product. And so we are in a long contract with Cersei that doesn't end for another 5-6 years. It's a long time. So we're pretty well committed to Cersei for a while. And our thought is, patrons were used to the app, getting them used to a new app that we aren't sure of what the cost is going to be, what the connection will be with the ILS. We weren't prepared to do that. So it will be interesting to watch both of us go through this path and see where we both land. And so.
We have modified our web-based page to be more mobile-friendly, and that's kind of the direction that I think we're steering patrons that want something mobile. So you'll find if you were to go to our main online catalog, it will scale as good as it can to a mobile device, so it's at least usable.
Thank you.
So we're not paying for what we're not getting.
Yeah.
It is very confusing. I know at the desk it's been really challenging. Lots of questions that Deanna and folks get probably constantly. And it is, you know, frustrating because it looks like it's still functioning when it opens up. The barcodes you could still scan at the self-check station, but the account information is not correct.
Have you
And
gotten
that's
a lot of-
hard to explain.
You've got a lot of complaints.
So a lot of complaint meter.
Combination of just loving the app and not being able to use it, and then kind of a confusion about the misinformation that it's showing.
Yeah.
So.
But those that complain, they get the information.
They do, yeah,
This is
because we
kind of-
still have my account online and,
Okay.
but we just got everybody used to it.
Youth representative, I haven't heard much about that. Where are you
I
with
will follow up on that because I haven't either.
that? Okay. I'm laying there for a while. Any other questions? No? All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.